Welcome to PipeCast. On this episode, we're going to be reviewing Peterson's Elizabethan mixture. Let's take a look at that blend.
All right, here we have Elizabethan mixture. Now, under the brand name Peterson, formerly was under the brand name of Dunhill. You know the drill. So this is a Virginia Perique. So naturally, it's made up of Perique, Bright Virginia, and then Red Virginia. Not sure the proportions on the two Virginias. Sometimes they are very explicit with is it red, is it bright, is it orange, is it golden, and sometimes they just say it's Virginia. So kind of leaves it up to us to leaves it up to our imagination here. Um, Based on the coloration, there's it looks like it's a good mix of both. There's a lot of bright. If you can see right there, there's a lot of bright leaf, so I would assume that's the bright Virginia. Um, and then there are pieces of like a darker brown, which I think is the Perique. And then there's kind of a in between the bright and the darker Perique, which I assume is the red. But just kind of looking at it now, the camera really highlights the bright more than here in person. But it does seem to be, even with that caveat, it does seem to have a little bit more bright in it than red. Um, but it's a pretty decent looking blend here. Let's get over there and see how it smokes.
All right, so that was Elizabethan mixture. You know, we it's crazy. I think we talked about Elizabethan a lot when we were just getting started, like when we were doing audio only. Um, I think we famously had our English to bracketology and our vapor to bracketology, and Elizabethan was in the vapor one, of course. Um, and then even to take a step back and look at vapors as a whole. We I don't think we've reviewed a vapor since we did the Gawith vapors. Those three in a row that we did. I don't think we've reviewed a true vapor since then.
Mm.
Um, and even before that, I think the only other vapor we did Orlick golden sliced, and then is that it? Cairo was kind of like an Oriental vapor kind of
Yeah,
thing.
kind of. But we haven't done a lot of vapors. You kind of lost your taste for it.
Yeah, so even with that, I'm pretty sure this is the first true vapor I've smoked in at least 2 years. I haven't touched because I kind of don't count Orlick. Orlick's kind of a mild vapor, so I really
Mm.
don't count it. It's kind of Virginia with a kick. Um, so yeah, so this is the first time, and it's pleasant. I don't I I whatever happened where I kind of got tired of them. It must have been just like a fad kind of thing where I'd had so much of them and I just kind of gotten tired. It's kind of gone away. Um, I still don't think that I would go to a vapor that often. I think I'd rather go to English or straight Virginia or uh, some type of burley, whether that be burley dark fired or a vapor or some sort. I think vapor still is lower in the list of blends that I like. Um, but I would say this one's pretty pleasant. And it's Elizabethan. It's somewhat of a standard, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not the best, but it's not. It gives you a good. It paints a pretty good picture of what a vapor should be. Um, Citrusy. The Virginias are very citrus-like to me. The pepper is just a shade more than Orlick. I still don't think it's that much Perique. Um, but yeah, I think it. Well, I haven't really retro held. Give me a second. Retro held is kind of where you can kind of gauge that Perique a little bit. It seems. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a shade more than Orlick. Um, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I don't have much to say. I mean, I'm still kind of like I said, it's the first time I've had a vapor in so long. It's like trying to get back into the just the idea of them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Are you a vapor person? I mean, I know when I first started, you know, we we smoked some vapors and I liked them. Reiner Gold, Scudo, Curly Block. Um, there was a few others I think that I never had Fillmore, um, but yeah. So I mean, I don't know. What's your opinion on vapors?
Sorry, you kind of went around the world there for a second. Um, so vapors to me, um, oh, okay. So you have, I guess, with everything you have, kind of like the the um, the spectrum, so to speak. You know, you have your lights, your mediums, and your darks, I guess, or strongs. You know, and with Elizabethan, this is the most central of all vapors you can get. So the description I always give of vapors is like, especially Midland to strong, um, is they're the most bready tobacco you can get. Pumpernickel is what I always kind of think of for some reason, you know.
Yeah.
And then you the further, like you talk about, in like with Orlick or Reiner or some of those others, when they have like white burley or something added to them, they can be a little bit lighter, maybe just a touch more citrusy. And then if you're talking about the other end, the strong end, you're going to have like your curly block
Hmm.
or your Fillmore, um, and they're going to be like more the most pumpernickel-y with a peppery after finish, right? Elizabethan falls in the um, sort of central of that, and it's the center of the center. So if you're to take Elizabethan, right, it's center of deluxe navy rolls, but it's um, below deluxe navy rolls. It's below a Scudo. It's above the bullseye, and it's above. There's another. Oh, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a peas blend that's a Perique that's a little bit lighter. So to me, this is the most central. So like if you were trying to figure out like maybe palatable, what would be the most palatable? Start with Elizabethan. If you would like more pepper, more bread, you would want to run up the ladder to like Curly Block, Fillmore, um, even deluxe navy rolls, and a Scudo. If you wanted less pepper, maybe more citrus, like a touch sweeter, you would want to go to the Orlick, to the Reiner Gold, to um, I can't remember what that peas blend is, but like I think
Telegraph Field
I
or
think
Stratford.
I think it might be Stratford. But anyway, so those are the kinds of blends you would be aiming towards if you were going lighter. Obviously, the other one were darker or stronger. I prefer stronger. So to me, Elizabethan is a good starting point, but it's not bad, you know. Um, it's just it doesn't serve um, a purpose with someone who has more of a subjective palate like I do. So in other words, suddenly I'm like, I can enjoy everything that I just mentioned. Not one of them has a bad tobacco taste. But because of the way I describe seasonal blends, fall being the Perique, I'm going to want more pepper as the days get cooler. And then it would probably, I mean, if you were to cascade it, say like you wanted to get into a fall spirit at the end of August, I would be at the Orlick Reiner, and then it would slowly transcend through September to Elizabethan. Once you made it to October 1st, you would be in a Scudo land, deluxe navy rolls. Fillmore would get into like the Halloween era, and it would be Fillmore and Curly Block all the way to probably Christmas. In terms of like the way you could weather something in my mind. Personally, you give me a tin of Fillmore, I'm probably going to have it smoked. I've already bought 2 Fillmore tins in preparation for um, our episode, and they're both gone because I've smoked both of them. Um, it's the same thing with La Bermuse, Pure Samois. All the tobacco that I've had is gone. Like it's all been smoked. I would have purchased it this last run, but I actually Solani aged Burley came out, and I picked up 2 tins of it to see what the new one was like. And we'll do a special episode of that. But like, I wanted to see how the new Solani tasted.
Yeah.
So I skipped buying more Fillmore. I skipped buying more Pure Samois. And honestly, the Pure Samois is probably over with. Like the season's over because it's a very summer smoke for me because it's cigar like. Not to say that I can't enjoy it um, year round, but it's just the way I am now. I've smoked myself into categories, and the only thing that I carry with me almost year round are Lakeland tobaccos.
Yeah.
Lakeland seems to be um, it's just a smoke for all seasons to me. I can smoke in the dead of winter. I can smoke it in summer. I can smoke it in fall. I can smoke it in spring. Anytime I'm on a kick, Perique, Latakia, straight Virginia, Burley, whatever, almost every smoke is going to be outpaced probably with a Lakeland that's always just trailing.
Mhm.
It's just the way I smoke. But yeah, Perique vapors are great. Like I said, I only crave Perique when it starts to get cooler. And Elizabethan is that central. I mean, I'm smoking it right at the right time. This is just about the right as we're mid September, and as I gear up for October, I'll be shifting gears into more. Honestly, I probably wouldn't buy Scudo and Deluxe Navy rolls because I prefer Fillmore and Curly Block. But basically, I'm just giving you sort of a weathered projection of how I would smoke.
Yeah.
Elizabethan is the most central of those. I mean, if you were to lay out all the Periques, I think you would find that a Scudo and Elizabethan, both great blends, are probably dead center. And I would probably prefer a Scudo.
Okay. Okay. That'll make sense. And two, I think that's helpful even for me because um, when I kind of went into that, when I had that little moment where I got sick of vapors, see that helps me kind of realize it makes it make sense to me because even though I got sick of them, I was still enjoying Orlick, and I don't, I s- so what I had done, I think that was around the time that for the audio only, we were still doing audio only at the time. Um, we did a medallion coin battle between a Scudo Deluxe Navy rolls and Peter Stokely Bullseye. So I had been smoking those three, and there was one more. I thought
Curly Block?
okay, yeah, Curly Deluxe. It's good. Yeah, yeah, it was those four, and that's what I had been smoking, and that's when I got tired of it. So I think I like vapors on the lower end, on the Orlick, the Reiner, Elizabethan. I prefer them more so than the more bready ones. Now I'll need to go back. I'll be interested when we do the Fillmore to see because I haven't had Fillmore, and it'll be the first time I've gone to that higher level since we did that that vapor coin off kind of thing. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Um, you know, just because it kind of paints it clear for me. Yeah, I mean, for me, you know, I've been trying to kind of find a seasonal pattern and see my Lakeland, like how you could do Lakeland all year round. Like that's kind of how I am with Virginias. It's like I can do Virginia all year long. I actually prefer it in the winter, which is weird. Um, but I can do them all
It
year
actually
long.
might be weird for me, but I just feel like there's something to, something weird. When I say something weird for me, I mean something weird in that maybe Latakia is not a winter blend. It's just, it feels more campfirey,
Latakia.
To me, it does.
Yeah. Well, and I like Latakia in the winter as well. I just something about straight Virginias also. I don't know. Like one day I'll have a straight Virginia, and the next day I'll have a pretty heavy English.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think it's kind of weird. Like I always say that like pipe smoking is really the only thing about pipe smoking is it's not a summer man's thing. You
Yeah.
know, it's I mean, that's why I can smoke Samoa in Virginia. Samoa being more cigar. Then of course I smoke cigars in the summer, and then of course Virginia is lighter. So like it's just the way I kind of handle my tobacco intake. But um, I honestly, I don't. I never stop smoking a pipe. I think it's just that the pipe itself is just it's almost like it was made for it to be cool or
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was telling my wife. That's kind of why I wish it would get. I wish it would stay. I mean, once you get into the winter months, it's like for where we're at. It's weird. It'll get pretty cold at the very end of October, and then it'll warm up for 2 months, and then from middle of January to the end of March, it's cold. Um, it feels like it never ends. Because as soon as the cold kind of starts to end, the rain comes, and then the rain never ends. Um,
Hmm.
but like I love um late October, early November, December, January. Going out in the cold. 30, 40-degree weather. Last year we had a week where we were like 17. But going out in those times, being bundled up and smoking, there's just something pleasant about that. There's just it's just a wonderful thing. Um, and it's still wonderful to go out and smoke anytime, but when it's hot, it's just like it becomes unbearable sometimes.
The cold is obviously not cold to most people, but there's something weird about Alabama cold. It's that you know when it's cold here, it's not cold. In other words, I can go outside in a cardigan or long sleeve or
Yeah,
pullover or something, and it's fine. But at 10, 15, 20 degrees, like not a problem. The problem with Alabama is that there, as soon as winter sets in, so late December, basically January 1st. And the problem with another thing too is that Alabama weather I'll get into that in a second, but like it's just constant wind, just blowing
yeah,
nonstop. You get no wind in the summer. I remember the first breeze you get maybe in the fall, a whisper, you know,
yeah.
and you're like, oh, this is nice. I just love a breeze. And you'll say to yourself the entire heated months, I wish there was a breeze. I wish there was something to just take this off of me. And then it's like, oh, okay, we promise we'll get to it in dead of winter when you don't want it, and it
No,
just cuts through you like something awful. Just constant 25-mile-an-hour wind. It feels like just blowing, 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 knock your hat off, knock it just constant, and you can't escape it. You try to go into an area with three walls, well, guess what? The wind will figure out a way to get in there. Like it's just
yeah,
awful, and that's the worst thing about winter here. And then the other thing about Alabama winters that make them really suck is that our weather has like Alzheimer's or something because dadgummit, dude, like it'll be 65, then 20, then 17, 80, then back down to 50, then it'll plummet again to 10, and it's back up to 60. So from December to April, it'll be cold, relatively speaking. It'll never probably get, but then a couple of times it'll be 75. You'll be like, I guess I'm in shorts again today. That's awesome. And then
yeah,
it'll drop again. And you'll be like, I literally have worn shorts one day, and then Wednesday I was back in a complete like winter get up.
yeah, yeah. It's ridiculous. And I think what it is the wind. and the humidity swap trade places because the humidity's here all summer, but it goes away in the winter. And I know I know immediately when it happens because my lips look like I have lipstick on because they immediately get chapped in the winter time, and it's like because that humidity's gone. So it's just it don't make. They just
Well,
need to swap places.
it
you know.
sucks.
Um,
But that's kind of, I think that's my hard take on tobacco. But Perique is great in the cooler months. Elizabethan is a great way to start. It is probably, for any one season, it's probably not really that great.
that makes sense. That makes sense. It's a it's the go-to blend for old stuffing things, and
Mm.
you like what you like, but I know he called it his what do you call it his meat and potatoes. Um, but I think for me, I well, one, I don't want a vapor as my meat potato, but also I want something that's a little bit more that packs a little bit more of a punch. Um, you know, as a an artisan's blend has been my meat and potatoes for a long time. So,
Well, I don't consider it a workhorse blend, Elizabethan. I think it's too light. It's just something, I mean, it's an all day smoke, that's for sure.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah, it is. So, I mean, the only thing for me, vapors have been the one blends that punch that kind of nicotine punch me more than any. Don't I'm sure it's the Virginias in it, but straight Virginias don't do it to me. But for some reason, vapors do. So that's the only thing that would caveat it from being an all day smoke for me is that eventually I'm gonna start feeling it more. So
Hmm.
that's one thing to be aware if you're similar to me where vapors can get a hold of you a little bit more. But yeah, that's Elizabethan. We tried this year. It was recommended that we kind of go through all these old Dunhills that are now branded as Petersons, and so that was, we're getting to the vapors. We're getting close to the end here, and that was one of them. So we wanted to get a
Yeah.
review out of that one because Burley Boy Summer's gone.
It is hats off to.
Yeah, that's all for Burley. Yeah. So,
But
but yeah,
yeah, I mean, like it's good wrapping up another kind of series. I mean, like I think Dunhill and Peterson have been done so much. You're going to get a pretty. I think everyone's going to say the same thing. Hey, they're good. Um, you you can come to us and we'll tell you the same thing. Most likely, I don't think there's any bad in the bunch, but they've been done to death. There's a lot more interesting things out there. And I'm kind of like you with the HH line. It's like, yeah, it's a great place to start. Probably not a great place to finish.
yeah, yeah,
Not with
yeah,
HH, but with the Peterson Dunhill blend. It's just a great place to start. Not a great place to finish. I
yeah,
think you can surely find something better out there than some of these blends.
yeah,
And there's some exceptions to that, but I mean, even you in your case, I mean, people would find, well, Elizabethan obviously, but nightcap being one. But I think I can find a better qualifier than I think in your case probably artisan. But for me, I think a better nightcap would be Quiet Nights.
yeah,
Another good alternative to nightcap would be Meridian, which is it's a little bit different, but it's I think it's a better English. So.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and I think that's why I'm so big on HH because I think HH is a good starting point, and it can not necessarily be an ending point on every single line, but
Mhm.
I think you'll get enjoyment with HH longer than you would if you started with the Dunhill stuff.
Mhm.
Um, because even me like HH Latakia, that's my second go-to English after Artisan. It's like then it's HH Latakia. Um, you know, HH Pure Virginia is a pretty solid Virginia flake. So,
Oh.
so yeah. So I mean, I think that's what it is. But we'll wrap this one up, and I think moving forward as we go through, as we move on through the years, we may try to tackle a blend at a time, not spread ourselves so thin on all these different types of. Because I know this year we've kind of done three big things, well, four big things, right? The Peterson, the old Dunhill Peterson stuff, the Codger blends, uh, Dan Tobacco, and then we hit Melville at Sea. And I think that's nice and all, but I think next year we'll probably try to focus that back down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, But
There's a lot of opportunity to just kind of go a little simpler. I mean, obviously, there are some things in there that are a little bit more complex. I personally would like to tackle. This is going to be a little bit more of a beast, but I would love to do LJ Paredes stuff, all of it.
yeah, I was kind of thinking we'll kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. I was kind of thinking next year, revisit, well, finish the HH line,
Mhm.
and then maybe revisit Pure Virginia, because we did do Pure Virginia a couple years ago, but come back to it. So do one for HH Syrian, which they don't make it anymore, but we'll do one anyway. Um,
Right.
Rustica, which is a limited run that happens every now and again. But then Balkan Blend, and we haven't even done one on Latakia Flake, which we've talked about so much. We've never done a review on it. And like I said,
Right.
we'll revisit Pure Virginia. But then I really want to look at John Cotton's double press stuff,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
I've heard good things about it, and they only have 6 blends, I believe. Five of them are
Kind of funny because
non-aromatic.
it's like we're gonna take a step back and not do these big things, and then we just sort of like, well, we're gonna do HH, we're gonna do Peretti, and we're gonna do John Cotton. So
Well,
basically, sounds like we're not changing course at all.
well, well, my thought was, so there's 4 HHs that we have to do, 4 or 5, and then there's
Hmm.
6 John Cottons. So that's only 11 videos. And then kind of just
Yeah,
we kind of just spread Peretti throughout the year, kind of
well, yeah, yeah.
as
I'm
we
not
grab
looking to like,
some.
right? No, I agree.
Now, of course, we are going to do. Yeah, I guess we're not going to do it, because I was going to say we're going to do we're going to finish the old ones, Cornell and Deal, for Halloween next year. So yeah, I guess we're not really changing. It's going to be more of the same.
More of the same. So you'll get series, which I think is good. And I think another thing about having a series is a lot of people will do, well, I got this, and
Yeah,
they kind of smoke, but we're kind of like, well, we're gonna run I don't know many people who run series.
I don't either. I mean, stuff and things will hit them, but not everything in the
Not
series,
everything at once, yeah. So we kind of run a series typically.
which I like that. I like to be able to conclude something. Be able to kind of, because I know we've been talking about doing Captain Earl's forever. The crazy thing about
I
Captain
would,
Earl's is, like, every single one of Captain Earl's is in English, except for one, I think.
which is hilarious because I love that one. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll run it. I mean, it, it's so funny because I mean, and this is my final thoughts, I guess, on this episode. But it's just like we're like, yeah, we might hold back on series, and then it's like, actually, next year's going to be nothing but series.
Yeah. Well, you get to see the natural progression of our conversation
Right.
of how we're scumbags.
Yeah, this is the mania that you guys don't see behind the scenes. We're like, you're right, this sucks. We'll never do a series again. I was thinking next year we'd only do series.
Exactly. So, well, that was Elizabethan. Come back next week, and we'll do something else.
Yeah, we will.
So.
Y'all be good.